there are only 5 occasions when a person becomes enlightened, becomes an arahant, and 4 of them have to do with the Dhamma. The first one is listening to the Dhamma, he becomes liberated. Second one is teaching the Dhamma. Third one is repeating the Dhamma. Fourth is reflecting on the Dhamma. Then only the last is during meditation. So the Buddha's Dhamma is extremely important. So here Dhamma should not be phenomenal. It should be the Buddha's Dhamma. This monks is the one-way path for the purification of beings, for the overcoming of sorrow and lamentation, for the passing away of pain and displeasure, for the achievement of the method, for the realization of Nibbana, that is, the 4 Satipatthanas, 4 intense states of recollection. This is what the Blessed One said. Elated, those monks delighted in the Blessed One's statement. That's the end of this sutta. So, this sutta, I think, is the first part of the Satipatthana Sutta. So this is the basic, gives you a basic idea about the practice of Satipatthana, that you only contemplate 4 things. The second sutta, 47.2. On one occasion, the Blessed One was dwelling at Vesali in Ambapali's grove. There, the Blessed One addressed the monks thus: "Monks, Venerable Sir," the monks replied. The Blessed One said, "Monks, a monk should dwell sati sampajanya." These 2 words, here we come across them again. Mindful and clearly comprehending is their translation, but I prefer recollected and clearly aware. Clearly aware also means mindful. This is our instruction to you. And how, monks, is a monk sato? Here, sato, this is mindful. Sato comes from the word sati. So you can say, how is a monk recollected? Here, monks, a monk dwells contemplating the body in the body, ardent, clearly aware, recollected, having removed covetousness and displeasure in regard to the world. He dwells contemplating feelings in feelings, mind in mind, Dhamma in Dhamma. It is in this way that a monk is recollected. And how, monks, does a monk exercise? This is sampajano, clear awareness or mindfulness. Here, monks, a monk is one who acts with clear awareness when going forward and returning, when looking ahead and looking aside, when drawing in and extending the limbs, when wearing his robes and carrying his outer robe and bowl, when eating, drinking, chewing his food and tasting, when defecating and urinating, when walking, standing, sitting, falling asleep, waking up, speaking and keeping silent. It is in such a way that a monk exercises clear awareness or mindfulness. Monks, a monk should dwell recollected and clearly aware or mindful. This is our instruction to you. So here, the the meaning of these 2 words, sati sampajanya, is very clearly spelled out here. Sati means putting your attention to contemplate only 4 things. That's why it has a lot to do with mindfulness. With remembering. You have to remember always to put your attention only on 4 things, not to allow it to stray to other things. Later we'll see why. And then sampajanya is mindfulness. Whatever you do, walking, standing, sitting, wearing your robes, eating, drinking, etc., you are clearly aware of whatever you are doing. So that is sampajanya. So this sampajanya is general mindfulness. So be very clear, it is not sati that is general mindfulness. It is sampajanya that is general mindfulness. Sati is remembering to put your attention only on 4 things. Why only put your attention on 4 things? Because these are the things that if you contemplate, it will help you to attain liberation. If you are mindful of your walking, sitting and all that, it only helps you to be mindful. It doesn't help you to become an Arya. So But even though it does not help you to become an Arya, this sampajanya, mindfulness, helps you to keep your mind focused instead of running away. As long as you are aware of your body actions, your mind does not run away. I mentioned this before. Once our mind runs away, you forgot about your body already. For example, when you're sitting in meditation, the moment your mind starts running away, you forgot that you are here sitting in meditation. But the moment you remember, I'm here sitting in meditation, the mind comes back to your body. That's why the Buddha always calls mindfulness of the body as a path to the deathless. Mindfulness of the body. As long as you're mindful of your body, your mind does not run away, does not leak away. Because that leaking away is the asava. Asava, the one that causes rebirth. Okay, the third sutta, 47.3. These suttas are quite important, so I'll be going through most of the suttas. 47.3. On one occasion, the Blessed One was dwelling at Savatthi in Jeta's grove, Anathapindika's park. Then a certain monk approached the Blessed One, paid homage to him, sat down to one side and said, "Venerable Sir, it would be good if the Blessed One would teach me the Dhamma in brief, so that, having heard the Dhamma from the Blessed One, I might dwell alone, withdrawn, diligent, ardent and resolute." And stop here for a moment. Many of the Buddha's disciples, after becoming a monk, they have to stay with an acharya, a teacher, for 5 years, basically to learn the suttas and the Vinaya. And after 5 years, the Buddha encouraged them to go off and stay alone in the cave or up in the forest somewhere. So this monk also wants to go off. So he asked the Buddha for some brief instructions. And the Buddha said, "It is in just such a way that some foolish persons here make requests of me. But when the Dhamma has been spoken to them, they think only of following me around." I stop here for a moment. So you see this remark of the Buddha. He says, a lot of foolish people, they want to learn the Dhamma from the Buddha. After learning the Dhamma from the Buddha, they want to stick close to the Buddha. A lot of disciples are like that. They like to stick close to the teacher. But good teachers like the Buddha, they want to be alone. They don't want to have a big crowd around them. They don't want to be superstar. Nowadays we have a lot of superstar monks. So the Buddha doesn't want to be a superstar. He says, "These fellows only think of following me around." Then the monk said, "Let the Blessed One teach me the Dhamma in brief. Let the Fortunate One teach me the Dhamma in brief. Perhaps I may understand the meaning of the Blessed One's statement. Perhaps I may become an heir to the Blessed One's statement." And the Buddha said, "Well then, monk, purify the very starting point of wholesome states. And what is the starting point of wholesome states? Virtue that is well purified, and view that is straight. Then, monk, when your virtue is well purified, and your view straight, based upon virtue, established upon virtue, you should develop the 4 Satipatthanas in a 3-fold way." I stop here for a moment. So here the Buddha is saying that actually later he will explain how to practice the 4 Satipatthanas in a 3-fold way. But the Buddha is telling this monk, basically before you practice Satipatthana, you have 2 foundations you have to establish. One is Sila, Aryan Sila. Aryan Sila actually is not so difficult. A lot of people think Aryan Sila, when the Buddha says an Arya has got perfect Sila, people think, wow, perfect Sila is very hard to keep. The monk already got 227 precepts. Maybe that is perfect Sila. But it is not. The Buddha's Noble Eightfold Path, 3 factors constitute Sila: right speech, right action, and right livelihood. Right speech consists of 4 precepts. Right action consists of 3 precepts. Right livelihood it means not harming others, and that is covered by right speech and right action already. So actually, this sila component in the Noble Eightfold Path, consisting of these three things, is actually 7 factors, 7 precepts. Only 7 precepts. If you can uphold 7 precepts, you have the qualification to become an Arya. So it's not so difficult. A lot of people think it's so difficult. So this is the sila, the virtue that the Buddha is talking about, Aryan sila. First you must have Aryan sila, and then you must have right view. View that is straight is right view. Right view means basically understanding the 4 noble truths. If you listen to some of my talks, I've quoted the Majjhima Nikaya, I think 43, where the Buddha, it is stated that to attain right view, you need to hear the voice of another person, basically the teaching of the Dhamma from somebody else. You cannot attain right view on your own. And the second condition is yoniso manasikara, having careful attention or proper attention. Only these 2 conditions, if you listen to Dhamma with proper attention, you can attain right view. And it is mentioned in, I think, Anguttara Nikaya 9.20, that a Satipatthana has right view. So once you have attained right view, you have entered the stream. And once you enter the stream, it takes some time. In that same lifetime, you will become a Satipatthana. The stream enterer, first path, will change to Satipatthana, the fruit, within the same lifetime. So what the Buddha is saying is that first you have to keep your sila, moral conduct, and then you learn the Dhamma until you understand the basic 4 noble truths. And then only you practice Satipatthana. And then the Buddha says, what for? What for Satipatthana? Here, monk, dwell contemplating the body in the body, internally, ardent, clearly comprehending, recollected, having removed covetousness and grief in regard to the world. Dwell contemplating the body in the body, externally, ardent, clearly comprehending or mindful, recollected, having removed covetousness and grief in regard to the world. Similarly, dwell contemplating the body in the body, internally and externally, ardent, clearly comprehending, recollected, having removed covetousness and grief in regard to the world. So here the Buddha is saying that contemplation of body can be done in 3 ways. One is contemplating the body internally, that means your own body. And then the second one is contemplating the body externally, external bodies, maybe your children's body, your wife or husband or anybody. And then you are contemplating both internally and externally the nature of the body. So that is body. And then in a similar way, dwell contemplating feelings, mind and Dhamma, internally and externally, and both. When monk, based upon virtue, established upon virtue, you develop these 4 intense states of recollection, thus in a 3-fold way. Then whether night or day comes, you may expect only growth in wholesome states, not decline. Then that monk, having delighted and rejoiced in the Blessed One's statement, rose from his seat, and after paying homage to the Blessed One, he departed, keeping him on his right. Then dwelling alone, withdrawn, diligent, ardent and resolute, that monk, by realizing it for himself with direct knowledge, in this very life, entered and dwelt in that unsurpassed goal of the holy life, for the sake of which clansmen rightly go forth from the household life into homelessness. He directly knew, destroyed his birth, the holy life has been lived, what had to be done has been done. There is no more for this state of being. And that monk became one of the Arahants. So here, the important teaching in this sutta is that before you practice meditation, you must have good moral